Hello and welcome yet again to another video on the channel, and today we are going to be talking about Venom Let There Be Carnage. I'm going to give you my review, my thoughts on the movie, if I had any issues with it, the pros, the cons, and the rating at the end. So please stick around for that. You will be getting my Halloween Kills review on the 31st of October, considering that it's Halloween. Just seems fitting. There is something special in there for you as well when you get to that one. But today we are going to be talking about Venom Let There Be Carnage. So let's get right to it. So yeah, like I said, Venom Let There Be Carnage. And there's a lot to go through here. Will it be rushed? Maybe a little bit, but we'll get to it. Let's start with the good stuff. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Something, I didn't really expect it to be blowing my mind, which it did not. But I had a lot of fun with the film. It's a very funny film. Something which they've obviously intended because they sort of run with the crab scene from the original film and went with that kookiness. Something that I think can work with Venom, but to a certain extent. Before I go ahead as well, there are going to be some spoilers. So if you haven't watched the film, go watch the film, then come back and we'll have a good chat with it. So, what else did I like about the film? The acting is decent. I don't think they had much of a cast, to be honest. Obviously you had Tom Hardy, and you had the ex from the first film. Apologies for not remembering everybody's name. Dan's back. You got the copper. Obviously you got Woody Harrelson as Carnage, and then there's Shriek in there as well. And that's pretty much it for cast-wise. Everybody else sort of gets eaten. I do think that there is some good parts to take away from it, but not as much as I'd like per se. There's not a lot of pros in this film, unfortunately. It's certainly not a bad film, but do I prefer the first one over this one? Yes. Will I rewatch both eventually? Yeah, I will. I do see myself watching this again down the line. It's just not one that I'm going to be running at the chance to see again. I'm not going to be running out to the, the HMV over here and getting the DVD for it. It's certainly not worth it. Woody Harrelson as Carnage is decent. Would I say he's the perfect casting for Carnage? No. He's certainly not the perfect casting for Cletus Cassidy. It's, you know what, I'm struggling with this one big time because I was expecting more from him and we didn't get a lot, and unfortunately that's where the pros there aren't many of. Again, I did enjoy the film to a certain extent. I had fun with it, but I can see where other reviews and other people talking about it, I can see why they've given it such bad reviews, because there are some really big lingering issues that we'll get into in a minute. I also want to talk about one of the things that I did really enjoy and was probably the best part of the whole film is the end credits scene. But, oh boy, Venom, he's about to show Eddie what it is that they've been through, the aliens have been through, just a little tidbit into what could be quite an interesting storyline going ahead if they ran with that, to sort of see exactly what these symbiotes have been going through. But, oh boy, that big end credit scene. They get thrust into the MCU and they see J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson talking about Spider-Man is talking about Spider-Man and the fact that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Does that mean Venom is going to be in No Way Home? Maybe not. Should he be in No Way Home? Absolutely. He should absolutely have some small role, you know, even if it is just a post-credit scene, just share that sort of momentum sort of thing. But, oh boy, is that a big thing that's coming hopefully very soon. Venom versus Spider-Man, you know, it would be confusing, but they could coincide it with the release of the PS4 Marvel Spider-Man 2 game, because obviously we're getting Venom in that as well. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here on out, but that is a big part of the film, and I think it's the part of the film that you take away from, where you actually think, actually, this is a good film. But for me, the film itself does struggle with a lot, and now we're going to get into those cons. I've talked about pretty much everything I liked about the film. The acting, some of the scenes are pretty funny. There's some big fun scenes in there, like when Miss Chan is taken over by Venom. That's pretty funny, and she'll only talk to her, and Dan is just sort of there. But by the end of it, Venom enjoys Dan. Venom likes Dan. And I quite like that. Quite like the line that Dan has as well, like fire and sound, and it's like, but without the sound, and it's kind of funny, you know. These small little lines and these small little moments are actually kind of funny, and I quite like that. So obviously now we get into what is the problem with this film, and it is short as fuck. That is the biggest issue that I think a lot of fans are going to have. That it is a very short film. It needs a good half hour to 40 more minutes just to give it some breathing time. There's certain storylines in there that I think it was just a chance to have Venom go off on his own while Eddie was dealing with stuff that was a little bit forced in this. And unfortunately, it does affect the film overall. Is it the worst film ever? No. By all means, no. As I said before, there's some enjoyable stuff. It's certainly not the worst Marvel movie, and it's certainly not the worst superhero movie, but there are big issues. I just struggle so much with the timing of it all and the pacing. You know, it feels like it's just getting from one scene to the next. It feels more like a TV movie than it does a big screen movie. Just with some really hyped up special effects, and that's really problematic. It also feels like you could literally watch the first film and then watch the second film, and it just be one big film. Because it just sort of carries on the story from that end credit scene in Venom. And yeah, you could easily just watch the two films and it not be that long to the point to which you want to turn it off. Unfortunately, some of the scenes in there, you do feel like you want to turn it off. And you do just want to shut off and just say goodbye to it. And it's really unfortunate. There's some other smaller issues in there. Certain scenes, certain things that happen. I.e., I did not like the fact that Carnage and Venom only faced off once in the film. Towards the end. It felt like it needed... I think what would have helped is if they had another fight scene earlier on, and let's say cops turn up so Venom runs off, Eddie Brock and Venom run off, and then Eddie and Venom then have the argument and then split up, and then they try to figure out where Carnage is. They try to sort of give it a sort of like the way that I think the writers and the producers on the show, on the film, were trying to sort of get this sort of angst sort of feeling of when are they going to face off. But unfortunately, when it happened, it was one and done. You know, that church scene there was a lot of scenes in that church scene that were spoiled, just to have a big trailer shot. I really do unfortunately think that this is a very big fail, and a disappointing film. However, I did still have some fun with it, and I did laugh quite a bit. But I just think that they could have done way more with it, and maybe should have run with the seriousness. Because at least in the first film, there's sort of more content. It's sort of a well hit story and plot line. You know, it's straightforward, gets the job done, and makes sense. Whereas in this one, it's all over the place. It's a shambles, and it's just scene to scene to scene to scene that doesn't have any clarity in between. There's nothing in between to give it a sort of breather. And that is the biggest issue with Venom Let There Be Carnage. So, as a film overall, I think it's worthy of a 6.5 out of 10. I don't think it's going to be getting anything bigger. The only reason why I do give it the 6.5 is because I think it has some fun moments, and obviously that big end credit scene gives it that extra push, but I just can't give it anything more. It's not worthy of a 7. I don't think it's as low as a 6 purely because of that after credit scene. As I say, there's stuff to enjoy in it. This is just my opinion. There are people out there who are probably giving it 3s and 4s out of 10s. I'm a little bit generous when it comes to my ratings, especially of movies, because I don't normally do the rating thing, but I am going to push into that a little bit more with further reviews. Still to come, of course, is the Halloween Kills review, which again you'll be getting on the 31st of October, and that is a done deal. I am going to be recording that today at some point, so there's no doubt in my mind that will be released on the 31st of October with no troubles whatsoever, with a little fun thing at the start, and there might even be a little fun thing at the end as well, just to have a laugh. But anyway, that's my review for today of Venom Let There Be Carnage. Please do like, comment and subscribe, all that good stuff. Hopefully some links in the description below, because I've forgotten the last few times, but I will push them in. Thanks for watching. I've been Scribbo, this has been Scribbo's Sphere, and I'll see you next time, folks.